this is good to go. So what happened, you guys? We are going to talk about today proteins and fats, how they turn into energy. You eat them, your body turns them into energy. Well, the carbohydrates, the sugar you had, the starch, or sugar in your coffee, or bread, or cereal you had this morning, it goes through this route, right? It becomes sugar molecules, glucose molecules, undergo glycolysis. Glycolysis becomes pyruvate, and pyruvate gives you, goes through Krebs cycle, becomes acetyl-CoA, goes through Krebs cycle, and become electron transport chain, and gives you ATP. That's something we talked about it several times in here so far, right? You know that. But what happens to amino acids, the protein molecules in your small intestine, they break down to amino acids. Okay, so the protein you eat, the meat you eat, it does not enter your digestive system, well, from your digestive system, does not enter into your blood as protein. They break down as amino acids. Am I making some sense, everybody?
Yeah.
Same as the starch you eat enter your blood as sugar. It does not enter your blood as starch. Same as fat. The fat that you eat, it breaks down to fatty acids and glycerol, and the fatty acids and smaller fatty acids and glycerol will enter your blood. I hope I'm making some sense. Okay, then what will happen? Some of your amino acids, some of them become pyruvate. Of course, they have to lose the nitrogen. When they lose the nitrogen, that process is called deamination. Deamination. You all know what amination means. It's ammonia, and D, it means without. Without. Okay? So some amino acids becomes pyruvate. Some amino acids, again, they go through the process of deamination, they become acetyl-CoA. And then some amino acids become intermediate of Krebs cycle. Okay? Am I making some sense a little bit? That is what the fate of the protein, the egg or steak you ate this morning, or turkey or bacon, whatever you ate that had protein in it. That's the fate of them. They become amino acids, and amino acids become pyruvate, amino acids become acetyl-CoA, amino acids become intermediate of Krebs cycle, which is a quiz question today. Which one of the following is not an intermediate of Krebs cycle? Can anybody remember them? Can you go over them? Citrate, isocitrate, alpha-ketoglutarate, succinyl-CoA, succinate, fumarate, malate, oxaloacetate. Remember that? So you should recognize them. I don't expect you to memorize them in that order and know the structures. Later on in your life, it depends what class you take, you will know them. Okay? And then what will happen with fats? Fats break down to, you remember at the beginning of semester we talked about triglyceride. Some of you you're getting ready to take that exam. I don't know how to curve. Some of you are very relaxed. You're not worried about exam number 1. That's fine. It's your life. But I don't curve. The high score was 75 last exam. Is that right? I don't know how to curve. Nobody taught me that. And I'm not about to learn. So, strict percentage. The highest grade in here at the end of semester is C, be it. It's a C. I did my best. It's you. Okay? So, anyhow, what I was talking about. What it is?
Triglyceride.
The triglyceride. Thank you, madam. Triglyceride. You remember that from beginning of semester? Triglyceride. 90% of the fat you eat in your diet, in your food, oil, butter, bacon, 90% of it is triglyceride. It has a glycerol. You remember that? Glycerol had 3 carbon, and then attached to it was fatty acid, attached to it was, this is monoglyceride, right? This is a diglyceride. This is a triglyceride. And each one of these is a carbon, right? Carbon, 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 same as all of these. And attached to it, hydrogen, hydrogen. You remember that? You did draw this for me.
Yeah, I remember.
So what am I saying here now? See you see how the information you learn from first exam is coming to you in this exam? And the information you learn in this exam and first exam is coming to you in the third exam and the final, and say, I mean, is final comprehensive? I don't know, what do you think?
It is without you making it.
Without me making it, what do you mean?
Like,
You know.
you're not going to have to ask questions from the earlier chapters. So it's going to be...
If it is triglyceride like this, how can I not add right here? Glycerol and fatty acids, right here.
Yeah.
So they are connected together, in a sense.
That's what I meant.
Yes, thank you. They're connected together. Marisa, is that right? And Maricela. I will get them straight someday, one of these days. Years. Okay, so this one, the glycerol breaks. As you know, you did draw this for me. This one will break. When this breaks, you have one molecule, two molecules, three molecules, four molecules. Right? So that glycerol can become pyruvate. Becomes glyceraldehyde and then becomes pyruvate eventually. And then that one goes through Krebs cycle, become acetyl-CoA Krebs cycle, gives you ATP. So this one gives you ATP. These guys, they have a different story. The fatty acids, they break down to acetyl-CoA. They break down to two carbon fragments. You remember acetyl-CoA has how many carbon? You learned that? No? Two. Remember that? So when fatty acids break down, they break down like this. Two, 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 and each one of these will give you one acetyl-CoA, and acetyl-CoA enter the Krebs cycle, and of course gives you a lot of ATP. Is there any question about that? Now you know how food that you ate this morning turns into Alicia to ATP, right? The whole world knows Alicia. Did you know why? Do you know her? She's very famous. She walks in front of camera every morning, and everybody watches the video in the world, so knows Alicia. And now they know her name too. It's okay, Alicia. You're a co-star. I'm the star. You're the co-star. Okay, regulation of cellular respiration via feedback mechanisms. Okay, that was one of the essay questions I asked you, and most of you did a good job. You answered it. This one you couldn't answer. This one you did not answer. Put it this way. None of you did answer that. Maybe Ariel answered it a little bit. I gave her the points. Okay. But anyhow, feedback inhibition is the most common mechanism for metabolic control. If ATP concentration is high, if ATP concentration begins to drop, respiration speeds up, and when there is a plenty of high concentration of respiration slows down, which you already answered that last time at the beginning of control of catabolism is based mainly on regulating the activity of enzymes at strategic points in the catabolic pathway. So of course, all of these reactions we're talking about, all of the conversion of glucose to glyceraldehyde, triphosphate, you know this, there was an enzyme involved here. There was an enzyme involved here. There is a complex of enzymes involved here. There's a whole bunch of stuff. A complex, it means more than one, right here is involved. So all of these steps are metabolic pathways, they call them. They're controlled by enzymes. Okay, you already know that. They just don't happen inside of the cell. They're controlled by enzymes. Okay, again, this is a feedback inhibition. Too much ATP goes back and stops that. You don't have to know this one. Phosphofructokinase, it's the name of the enzyme. It stops that enzyme. That's an enzyme. Again, I'm not hoping you know too much about the enzymes here. But anyhow, AMP, adenosine monophosphate, okay, stimulates this enzyme, and then of course these citrate, too much of citrate can stop that enzyme too. Again, on that one, I'm not worried about it too much. If you have your PowerPoints before you, you can cross it off. I'm not too crazy about it. This is talking about how the cellular respiration is being controlled. Okay, this is the control mechanism. Again, that same PowerPoint. Here is the last one. This is the one, if I ask you during exam, what is the same quiz, the same homework question I ask you, this is the one I'm hoping you would draw for me. It's not in your textbook. This is not in your textbook. The other ones that was in your textbook. This is the one that it is in your textbook. Are you ready to go over it? Huh? Are you 100% attention? It is in DocuSheet. Emmeline was not here last time. I missed her, so I have to be close to her a little more. Okay, so you all can see this. Carbohydrates, right, break down to glucose. Can you guys see in the back? See that? Lauren, you were not here. Maybe I should stand next to you. You were not here last time either. I remember things, guys. You think I'll forget you? No, I will remember you. Okay, carbohydrates. The food you had this morning. Let's go over breakfast you had this morning. This morning you had bread and egg. Is that good enough? And you had some butter on top of the bread. Shall we go over that? The bread you had this morning breaks down to glucose. Glucose right now inside of your body is undergoing catabolism. Is that right? Hexagonic reaction. You know these things. And becoming pyruvate. Pyruvate goes through degradation, becomes acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA goes through Krebs cycle, TCA cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle, another name for it, TCA, tricarb, and it goes through electron transfer chain, gives you a lot of energy. Right? Everybody follow that. You know this. You know this pattern, right? Oh, I forgot to say something. Pyruvate, if you take your cells, your brain cells, your brain needs a lot of glucose in order to function. 90% or so of the glucose of your body goes to the brain, and brain needs glucose as a fuel. Brain does not use much fat, does not use amino acids. Brain needs glucose. So, if your glucose level is down, what will happen? Your body can turn pyruvates, put two of them together, two pyruvates, 3 carbon, put together, right? And makes it a glucose molecule, and glucose goes to the brain, and brain uses it as a source of energy. Am I making some sense? So, your cells have the ability to make glucose by putting two pyruvates. That's why you see the arrow, it's a two-way arrow. One go up and one come down. It means glucose can break down to two pyruvates. Two pyruvates can get together and form glucose. It's a two-way street. It's just like you love somebody, the other person loves you. Right? Am I making some sense? Think about that. Then pyruvate becomes acetyl-CoA. Do I make sense? It's a one-way street. Can acetyl-CoA become pyruvate? No. It's a one-way street. Can pyruvate become glucose? Yes. Can pyruvate become acetyl-CoA? Yes. These are the quiz questions you should know. Or I might ask you to draw the whole thing for me on an essay question. So let's go over it together. So acetyl-CoA becomes intermediate of Krebs cycle. You already know that. So you're done with the bread in your food, in your breakfast. Are we done with the bread? Let's go to egg. Egg has protein. Protein breaks down to amino acids. Amino acids, I should get rid of this information, deamination and transamination. Opposite of deamination is transamination. Opposite is transamination. Deamination means removal of amino group. from a molecule, what does transamination means? Huh? You're adding an amino group to a molecule. You're adding to it. Okay, so you have amino acids here. Amino acids can become pyruvate. Some amino acids. Some amino acids, not all 20 of them, some of them can become pyruvate. Can pyruvate become amino acids? Yes. By what process? By process of transamination. You add ammonia to it. It's called transamination. Deamination, when vitamin B is involved in deamination, when you strip off ammonia from amino acids, then they can become pyruvate. Some amino acids, again, vitamin B6, they become acetyl-CoA. Some amino acids can become intermediates of Krebs cycle. Some of the intermediate of Krebs cycle become amino acids? Yes or no? Yes, it's a two-way street. Can acetyl-CoA become some amino acids? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The sugar you ate this morning, the bread you ate this morning, it is possible the pyruvate solvent can, if you're bodybuilders, you want protein in your muscles, it is possible that way, but it's impossible that way. It is possible this way also, if you're a bodybuilder. Are you done? Shall we go to the butter you had this morning? Or the egg you either fried your egg or scrambled the egg, the oil you scrambled your egg. Are you ready for that one? Let's go here. Fat. Fats, as I said, 90% of your diet is triglyceride. 90%, the triglyceride breaks down, you remember that? It breaks down to glycerol and also breaks down to fatty acids. The glycerol can become pyruvate. Yes? And pyruvate can become glycerol. And then glycerol can become pyruvate, pyruvate can become acetyl-CoA, go through the steps. How about fat? Fatty acids. These fatty acids will break down to 2 carbon fragments, as I talked about it already. They break down to 2 carbon, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 carbon fragments, and the 2 carbon fragments become acetyl-CoA. And acetyl-CoA, of course, excess of it becomes fatty acids and become triglyceride. Quick question. Johnny, is anybody named Johnny here? No? Ariel, your name is not Johnny. Good. Johnny eats carbohydrates and nothing else. He does not eat fat. He does not eat protein. He eats carbohydrates only. And he does not lose weight. He's not losing weight. Explain it. Essay question. Look at the chart. Try it. Look at the chart and tell me. When I say trying, everybody, non-V includes you too. I hope you don't get neck ache, non-V. Your head is not. Is he in front of you? You cannot see. You can hit him. It's easy. If you don't hit him, I hit him for you. Such a violent teacher. Anybody? Nobody? Yes, Marissa, you come to the rescue.
My guess is,
He eats carbohydrates only.
yeah.
How does it become fat? And he does not lose weight. Or he's gaining weight. Put it this way, he's gaining weight. He's becoming heavy and he eats only carbohydrates. He heard from his biology teacher, if you eat carbohydrates, good for you. Don't eat anything else.
Is it because it's like crowded? Because he has so many carbohydrates that they all go through the same, because like if he ate proteins and fats, then they start at different points in the breakdown of glucose, right? So if he only eats carbohydrates, then
Anybody else? Ariel? She's gonna come to Ariel. I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
Yes.
this is just a guess, okay. So maybe his body has to work too hard for it to become
No, no, you guys, you're reading this is on YouTube. You guys are making me in front of YouTube pull my hair, and Donald Trump will get a hold of it, and oh boy, he's gonna ask me, get him out of here. Did you see that clip? Get him out of here. Get out of here. Get the hell. Oh, he said the hell. I'm sorry. He said, get the hell out of here. Get. I don't know. But anyhow, that's Donald Trump and Amir assadi-rad. But anyhow, no, stick to what we have up here. Don't go beyond his cells are special, so his cells will not. No. What up here? Up here. I'm asking up here. Anybody?
Is it because it goes straight down?
No. Okay. Straight. No. Okay. What happened? He's gaining weight. I guess I proposed the wrong question. He's eating carbohydrates only, Alicia, and then he is gaining weight. He's becoming fat. Why? Hey, of course, he does not exercise. He does not study for biology, right? He does not do anything. He just eats carbohydrates. Are you ready? Non-wheat? Should I? Yes.
Is it because the pyruvate turns into glycerol and it can turn into fat?
You are hitting it, but I want more detail. Let me go over it. Okay. So what happens? He eats only carbohydrates. Carbohydrates become glucose. Glucose become pyruvate, of course. Pyruvate becomes acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA goes through Krebs cycle and gives him enough ATP so he doesn't die of starvation. Am I making some sense? He's not eating a balanced diet. He's just eating carbohydrates. Okay? So the excess carbohydrates, when your body does not hold on to the glucose forever, your glycogen deposits in your liver and your muscle cells are limited time. Okay? Then after that, after glucose becomes pyruvate and pyruvate becomes acetyl-CoA, the cells do not need ATP. You remember ATP? We talked about ATP inhibition. Should I bring back this slide? Come on, where are you? Right here. The cells do not need ATP anymore. It's done. There's ample ATP in his cells because he broke down all of the glucose molecules to acetyl-CoA, and now he has ample ATP in his body. So what will happen? What will happen? The acetyl-CoA becomes fatty acids. Now fatty acids go into his fat cells and get deposited. Also, pyruvate can become glycerol. Glycerol, right? This pyruvate came from the glucose he's eating, from the bread he's eating. He's only eating bread and nothing else. And he does not lose weight. No, he's gaining weight, put it this way. When I say lose weight, you guys, your mind. So the pyruvate becomes glycerol. Glycerol then waits for fatty acid to be synthesized, and fatty acid attached to glycerol and then go to his fat cells and he's gaining weight. Did that make sense? That can be said about proteins too. That can be said about proteins too. Proteins break down to amino acids. Amino acids become pyruvate. Pyruvate becomes glycerol. I'm answering essay questions for next Wednesday, a week from today. That's what they told me. I said, Amir, when you ask essay question, answer them before you ask them. I'm doing it right now. And next week I will ask them. Right? So, and then, Marisa, I'm going to answer your question. So, amino acids become pyruvate. Pyruvate becomes glycerol. Glycerol waits until these fatty acids are formed, and the fatty acids attach to glycerol, and this triglyceride will be stored in your fat cells, or his fat cells, Johnny's fat cells. Marisa, yes, you had a question long time.
Ben, how come, you know how people do, no carbs to lose weight? So they just eat fats? How come when you, eat way too many fats, why don't you gain weight that way? Because isn't it doing the same thing? That if you eat too much carbohydrates and too much protein?
You know, there is, I'm giving you the basic of what basic science is. Then there is an Atkins diet. You've heard of that? You eat only meat.
Yeah.
You only eat meat, you lose weight, and some people swear by it. Yeah, those things are really, I do not have an explanation for it, but as soon as those people get off of meat, only eating meat, immediately they gain the weight. Or they eat a little bit of carbohydrates, they still do not. Again, those are the things I cannot explain. But pretty much that's what's happening with people who gain weight and gain weight and gain weight, because all of these amino acids and carbohydrates, they turn into fat, and you know that. I'm just making an extreme question. As you know, carbohydrates and amino acids, and of course fats, can turn into fat in our body. Maricela, am I good? Shall we go to next chapter? You're done with chapter 9. Okay? Do you guys want a 5 minutes break, or shall we take the break later on? Let's start chapter 9. And then they are telling me, these folks are telling me that chapter 9, chapter 10 was not in DocuShare. Did I? No. After you see how mysterious mind is, it is amazing. Any of you later on in your life, you start getting PhD or become MD, go study mind. It's crazy. Now I cannot remember. Did I send you a set of homework questions for photosynthesis?
Yeah.
I did send you, but the PowerPoint was not there. They're telling me. Woo, shish kebab. Okay. Then I will not collect your homeworks. Did you answer those homework questions? Huh? Since PowerPoint was not there, did you answer? No?
Yeah.
How did you answer them, Ariel? How did you answer? Textbook?
Yeah, she's with that.
Use a textbook?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good thing. Maybe I should do that from now on. Post the PowerPoint. He's a cool start. Alicia, Brian, and Amir. Biology 1. On Friday. Sneak preview on Friday. Or no, the actual movie on Friday. Sneak preview. Yes, come with it. And the PowerPoints are up there. Okay, we'll take 5 minutes. We were just waiting for Brian to come.